Jakob Poeltl rumors have started to surface. Does it make sense for the Celtics to make a move for him? Spoiler alert, no. We're going to talk about that in this podcast. Plus, lineups, who should be starting? Rob, yes, but who else with him? And where do Derek White's minutes come from if he goes to the bench? I have a very specific name in mind. Tom Westerholm's not going to like it. It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I'm here for you every single day, Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts when they play on the weekends, with a free, fresh podcast directly to subscribers' devices. So if you're not a subscriber, make sure you are. Then you get the show whenever I publish it. If you want, you can watch the show on YouTube as well. It's great to watch the show sometimes. Hop into the comment section, join a nice growing community of Celtics fans there. Also, thank you for making it your first listen every day. I'm John Karalis, former professional basketball player. Now I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. And today we're getting into a couple of things. I said yesterday, if you listen to yesterday's podcast, I talked about the lineups. We've got to get into the lineups and where the starting lineups might go. We'll talk about that. And then as well, we got to start with the Jakob Poeltl rumors, which Shams Charania tweeted out a story about. He's getting significant interest, and the Celtics are among the teams with that significant interest. So I have significant interest in talking about this with my good buddy, Tom_NBA, better known as Tom Westerholm. How's it going, Tom?
You know, Shams, he's out here reporting that, on like lineup stuff, but he didn't report that I was going to be in the Locked On Celtics lineup today. And I'm a little insulted, honestly.
Well, it's because we keep a tight perimeter here at the
That's
Locked
what
On.
it is. All right.
We do not let rumors drop. We do not let, any
well,
of that.
that's the kind of organization I want to be a part of. So, all right, we can continue the podcast.
Okay, good. Sorry. So I know the ego kind of checked in there for a second, but no, it's okay. It's okay.
All right. It's just a good organization, and all right, ego's fed.
Solid organization has nothing to do with your impending release.
Oh, all right. I'm leaving.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Sorry, you had to find out that way. Normally, you should find out the way everybody else finds out on Twitter.
When Shams tweets it, as God intended.
So the Celtics are reportedly expressing significant interest in Jakob Poeltl, a center for the Spurs, who is a nice player, offensive player. Oh, he's a pretty good defender as well. But I immediately, a bunch of things tell me that this probably doesn't make sense. First and foremost, the fact that it's reported at all. The fact that it's out there as, the Celtics are expressing a lot of interest tells me the Celtics are not really expressing that much interest.
So, yes, I want to start by saying I agree with you. I do think there's an interesting kind of case to be made for him, right? Like, you go through the Celtics lineup and you look at, how, Rob Williams isn't always available. He does tend to need some time off for various maladies. He, is like, kind of on, he was on a minutes limit for a little while. We don't know kind of where that's going to settle by the time the season's over. Who knows? So like, I don't want to like write it off completely. That said, to me, I like when you look at the way the Celtics are playing, and I know we're going to get into all this stuff, but when you look at the way the Celtics are playing, and when you look at how the Celtics are consistently used in trade rumors to drive up the price of things, it's really this perfect usage of the Celtics, because it's not quite as obvious as the Jaylen Brown ones, right? When it's always like, the Celtics are involved with Jaylen Brown. And it's like, No, I don't think they are. I
Exactly.
think you're just
Yeah.
trying to get a Jaylen Brown type player. This one's a little more under the radar because what the Celtics have is a first round pick that they're
Yeah.
pretty much willing to trade in perpetuity. So if you're a team who's trying to acquire a first round pick for a player, Brian Windhorst
Hmm.
game, what do you think you would do? Hmm.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. That makes the most sense. The Celtics have picks. Brad Stevens has demonstrated a willingness to trade said picks, and that means everybody else in the league's going, maybe we do have to pony up a first. But it's those picks that make me say, first of all, that's like, I don't think this is why the Celtics are going to want to do this. Like, this in a vacuum, which basketball is not played in the vacuum, would be very awkward if it was. They could use a guy like Jakob Poeltl. You can sit there and make a very strong case for, yeah, man, you get Jakob Poeltl, it's insurance against, Rob and getting hurt and Al, and like look at the type of player you would have backing those guys up, or you could even move Al to the bench. This is amazing. And I even saw it posited that, hey, this could be insurance against Grant Williams. Maybe you could be leverage against Grant Williams. Like, okay, yes, but at what cost? And this is where it really falls apart for me. First of all, I got to say this. Today's show is brought to you by Built Bar. BetOnline is brought to you by BetOnline or Built Bar, but BetOnline. BetOnline.net has you covered this season with more odds, props, and lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. Okay. I know I had you hanging on every word, and it was like, hey,
Please ad read responsibly. Yes.
BetOnline. So anyway, I got to do this. So, I got to do my job.
You do.
So, first of all, are you gonna not only trade a pick, but it starts with the Stepien rule, which if people don't know Stepien rule, it means you cannot trade multiple first round future picks. You cannot go 2 consecutive future first rounds without a first round pick. So they've already traded 13. That's in the past. Doesn't matter. If they trade 15, let's say, or they can trade 14 for Pöltl, but now you can't trade 15. And do you want to push that out far? How far out do you want to push your ability to make a trade just to get Jakob Poeltl,
Right?
who is insurance and a nice player, but number one, and I think there's future salary because he's going to be an unrestricted free agent, and there's the matter of, are you going to commit this much money to your center spot? If you're going to trade a first round pick, you're not trading it to rent. You're not going to jeopardize. You're basically trading 2 first rounds because you're trading this pick and you're trading the inability to make that next pick, that trade that next pick. Are you going to do that for a guy that's going to be a rental? No. And if Woj is saying this guy's not going to take 4 years, $58 million, now that's $15 million a year. If you got to go up above that, 17, 18, you're going to go up to 20. What's the going price for Jakob Poeltl these days? Are you going to pay all of that for a center? You're going to give a pick for the center, commit all that money to your center spot, basically $42 million to your center spot for this team? I mean, again, without any of this stuff involved, Jakob Poeltl, fine.
Yeah.
With all this stuff involved, no, not the right use of resources for the Celtics.
Yeah, I think to me what it's if this were to come to pass, I would have real concerns about what the Celtics know about Rob Williams' situation.
Yeah.
Right? Like like again, if the trade deadline comes and goes and nothing happens, okay, cool. Like I think hopefully that means good things about where Rob's at. But because look, I mean, like you said, Jakob Poeltl would be insurance. That's the kind of money that you spend on somebody who you see as your future kind of starter, right? Like, and it's possible. I mean, it's not impossible that that's the case. I hope that it's not, because I think that would mean kind of negative things about the various health related things with Rob that
Right.
you and I don't know about. Like, no idea. So, I like as things stand right now. You look up and down the Celtics roster. If I'm the Celtics, if everything is kind of kosher, if everybody's okay, I think the like you can kind of stand pat. You've got your backup center. You've got Luke Cornett playing pretty good. You've got Al Horford and Rob Williams can play together. You can split them up if need be. We'll talk about the lineups later. But that's really the only scenario where I see like a trade like this making a lot of sense, as if it's not really just an insurance trade. If it's also kind of looking 2 years down the road and not feeling great about where things stand kind of trade.
Yeah, that makes sense, because if they do make this deal, then the immediate question becomes, what do you guys know about Rob? Why are you doing this?
Yep.
Because and if that's the case, then yeah, that makes sense. We'll continue this and fold this into the lineups, because we want to know what should the starting lineup really be, and if Rob's going to be in that starting lineup, who's in there with him? We're going to talk about that in just a moment. First, today's show is brought to you by Rocket Money. It's a new year. One of your resolutions is to manage your money better. But there's all of these subscriptions. If you're like me, you get subscriptions to every streaming service, because there's one show I love on one and one show I want on another. And, I signed up to watch a show that I don't like any of the other shows on this streaming service. Have I canceled it yet? No. That's why I need Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. That's why you would need Rocket Money. It's a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending, and it helps you lower your bills all in one place. 80% of people are doing just what I just said. And even those free trials get you. They snag you, and you never even used it, and you forgot about it. Rocket Money quickly identifies your subscriptions. You stop paying for the ones you don't want. All you got to do is press cancel on the app, and they do the rest. You don't have to deal with any of the talking to people or getting why don't you just do this? Or why don't you just subscribe for another week? No. They take care of it. 3 million people have used Rocket Money. Saves the average person up to $720 a year. Stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. That's rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Want to get caught up on every game in the league? You can't watch them all. Listen to Locked On Game to Game. You get a quick synopsis from both sides about what happened in each game. It's going to get you all caught up. It's on the Locked On NBA feed. So if you're subscribed to that, you'll see it. Listen to that. If you're not subscribed to the Locked On NBA feed. Get a couple of great podcasts. You can also watch them on YouTube. Let's bring Tom Westerholm back in to wrap up this Pöltl discussion. I think we're on the same page. It boils down to this: who's the better player, right? Who's better, Robert Williams or Jakob Poeltl? Who would you rather have in general, right?
Correct. Robert Williams.
Robert Williams is the guy. Robert Williams is the guy. So if you're trading for Jakob Poeltl and you're paying him, you're going to have to pay him $17 to $20 million. You're not paying him to do that, to sit on the bench and be like, you're already paying Malcolm Brogdon to do that. And you've maneuvered away because it made sense
right
for your lineup. You're not doing that same thing with your bigs. You're doing it on one spot. So I think you nailed it with, if they trade for him, this is a bad sign. But I like what I've been seeing from Rob. I don't think that the injuries are a concern right now. And if they were a concern, would they be playing him 30 minutes right now?
Right.
I don't think so. So
yeah.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, I feel like the way they've been ramping him up, they kind of feel like, yeah, this is he's fine.
Right. Unless it was something like long term that you're worried about, right? But like, to your point though, right, exactly. But to your point though, it's like the way we've seen them using Rob, the way that Rob has looked, just kind of the way he's gotten his bounce back, and he looks pretty comfortable out there. You almost just like don't even want to start putting that stuff out into the universe, right? Like he's been great. Like he's been really good. He's such a good player. He's just a good basketball player, man. I hope, like, he looks fine. He seems fine. Like all the post game quotes make it sound like he's fine, and he's just so much fun to watch. Like I don't really have much more insight than that, but I think he's I think that this to me just kind of smells mostly like the Celtics getting involved to drive up the price, just because
Yeah.
it's very convenient for the Spurs. So, and look, I mean, not for nothing, the Celtics and Spurs have done business together in the past. So,
Right.
eh.
I can just picture like Greg Popovich calling up Brad and be like, "Hey, Brad, do you have significant interest in Jakob Poeltl?" And him going, "Yes, Greg, I have significant interest in Jakob Poeltl. Thanks, Brad." Click. Go
Right.
ahead. Now help us sell that, and then when we actually need to do a deal again, we can talk. Like I'm sure there's some conversation going on. And Brad's like, "Yeah, say whatever the hell you want to say. Say whatever you
Brad,
want to say." And like you just took Romeo Langford off our hands. You just took you just helped us out a lot. So you want to use us in a rumor? Fine. Use us in a rumor. It's cool.
I think that was actually written into the Romeo
Right.
trade. Like was yeah,
The
but I mean,
Celtics. I'd
and
love
now
that.
what Brad can do is he can make sure that Masai has to give up first round picks for
There you
Jakob Poeltl.
go. There you
So,
go.
you know,
I'd love to see that reported by Woj or Shams. Like the Celtics have traded Josh Richardson, Romeo Langford, a first round pick, and the ability to be used in one rumor for Derek White in a future second.
I mean, that's valuable stuff. If the
That's
Celtics give
very
you that
valuable.
permission, like, man alive, like
Absolutely.
that's the best team in the league to be giving out those permissions. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, Greg. I'll give you one rumor, but it has to be for a bench player.
right, no
Don't
Jaylen, no
no
Jaylen.
don't we got we got to at least hint at Jaylen. No, we're not going to do it if you hint at Jaylen. We're already doing a hint at Jaylen deal with Brooklyn.
Right.
So,
It was written into the 2017-2018 draft pick rule. Yeah.
right. So like so Rob's good. Rob is here. Rob
Yeah.
is starting. The starting lineup, looking at some of the lineup data, the starting lineups with him in there are great, but so are starting lineups with Derek White in there, and it does pose some interesting stuff. And honestly, let me just start with this: the Celtics lineup data is kind of all over the place
It is.
because they went 21 and 5, 21 and 5, and then they went 5 and 7, and now they're 7 and 0. And Malcolm Brogdon's at the center of some of the worst lineups and some of the best lineups, because in that little segment of 5 and 7, the second unit just sucked and Brogdon was having a real rough time, and it really skewed a lot of his plus minus. But at the beginning of the year and in the last 7 games, I think he's in 2 of the top 5 3 of the top 6 lineups in this 7 game streak or something like that. He's all over the top of the plus minus. So it does kind of make me pause with how the lineup data looks. And that's kind of what we're trying to look at to base ourselves on. How's this going to go moving forward? I still like double big. I still like Al Horford in the starting lineup. But yesterday it seemed like you were making the sort of hinting argument that, well, what about Al off the bench?
Yeah, I mean, look, I like the double big lineup a lot. And it's honestly what it comes down to is just a numbers game where it's like, I mean, so you look at Derek White, right? Cleaning the glass. He is the Celtics top on off guy. Like
Yeah, he's all yeah.
when he's on the floor, the Celtics are 7.7 points per 100 possessions above their baseline, which is already really high, right? Like they've already got the best net rating in the NBA. Per cleaning the glass, he's 7.7 better. Like he makes them significantly better. And like, sure, you could bring that guy off the bench if you want. Like you're already doing that with Brogdon. But White's just been so good in that starting lineup that I'm just kind of like, man, you hate to see that. You hate to see that go to the bench. On the other hand, that double big lineup, I mean, it's been so consistently good for 2 years. And something interesting, a guy on Twitter, I commented yesterday about the double big lineups in crunch time, and the double bigs haven't always been good in the fourth quarter. So if you're going to use them, maybe it makes the most sense to use them at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
Like that seems reasonable. And so, I think for me, I do come down on the side of like, look, what works. It worked last year. Rob and Al were, I believe I looked it up yesterday. It was 13.1 points per 100 possessions that their lineups outscored opponents. This year, before I think it was before the last game, it was still 14.0. So it's like it's right there. Like we know how good those two are together. Just kind of roll with that. But I mean, look, I'm just a huge. I think Derek White is awesome. I think he's a really good player, and if it's me, I'm just having a hard time putting that guy on the bench, especially after all the success we've seen with him with a lot of those starting groups.
It's very difficult. Somebody has to go to the bench.
Right.
So somebody has to go to the bench. If Rob's going in, somebody has to go to the bench. It's not going to be Smart. It's not going to be Jayson. It's not going to be Jaylen. So then you're left with two options. And I like Al Horford as a floor spacer in that starting lineup. And you can say, well, you have White in there as your floor spacer, but I like his ability to be both a floor spacer and also a big defender.
Right.
You take that away, and the Celtics, not only have they been better defensively, they've been better rebounding. I'm gonna pull out some of my. I've been doing a lot of looks at the where they have been at the beginning of the season, middle of the season, or like that swoon, and now. One of the things that really stands out to me is at the beginning of the year, so they went 21-6. In that stretch, opponent offensive rebounding percentage was 26.9. And so they were losing. This is Joe Mazzulla loves bringing up the four factors. Did we win the four factors? So this is one of the four factors. Even though they were 21-5, they lost the offensive rebounding by 3.3%. When they went through that swoon, they were actually starting to win the offensive rebounding percentage by about 1%. Now, their offensive rebound, Celtics offensive rebounding is at 27.8, and opponents is at 21.4 over the last 7 games. So they are now out rebounding, they're out offensive rebounding the opponents by 6.4%. That goes away a little bit, I think, with Derek White on the floor. Although I will say Derek White has gone in and gotten some big offensive rebounds. But I still feel like being big and having Horford on the floor is important for what they can do on the defensive glass, getting stops and getting out into transition, and on the offensive rebounding. Just and defensively, I just think having him there, that allows Robert Williams to kind of float at that free safety position. It just brings out the best in all of these guys. And one of Derek White's strengths is being versatile. And you can still come off the bench and have him be the first sub. He can still be the first sub. And just because Brogdon is the sixth man, you can sub them both in together. You can kind of get White in and out in shorter stints. I want to go with the proven thing. We're gonna take a second here to get more into that, the proven thing and experimentation and all that stuff. First, today's show also brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all of your sports betting information, your stats, your news, and analysis. If you want to lay some money down on a game, but you don't just want to go into it blind, BetOnline is going to help you in that regard. Get the latest odds and trends for every pro sports league out there and some amateur leagues out there. International sports, it's all there at BetOnline. If you want to listen to one of their sports podcasts, we know you like listening to sports podcasts, you're here, so you can check those out there as well. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to get your betting information. Head on to the website today. Use your mobile device to get there if you'd like. BetOnline is where the game starts. Please gamble responsibly. So before the break, I was talking about the lineups and everything. I like the idea. I just like the idea of going with what works. And I have no issue subbing Al Horford out 4 or 5 minutes into the game and bringing, you can do Horford out and Jaylen out or Tatum out and bring in Brogdon and White. And now you have, you go 4 out and you still get those guys in early enough where they get their minutes, but you still established your the tone of the game with the bigs there. So that I think that's where I want to go. I'd rather at this point in mid-January try that and see how it affects everybody. And if we need to switch, then switch. But I do like something that's proven, and hopefully everybody else can kind of adjust to the minutes, just kind of shift in the minutes.
That's ultimately where I land with it too. And look, I think the big benefit from that one is like if you're bringing the guards off the bench, that allows you to try to buy more rest time for the Jays in the first place anyway, right? Like, so if you go double big, hopefully the secondary benefit of that is that, Jaylen and Jayson, that, just purely because you have too many good players, they have to take more rest. They have to not run their minutes up to, like, I don't know, 37, 38, 39 a game. You'd rather not have them super high anyway, if you can help it, after everything that we saw last year during the playoffs. So I'm with you. I mean, I'm not even really doing a devil's advocate thing when I kind of talk about Derek White. Like, I genuinely think he's that guy. Like, I think he's that good. But I think when it comes down to it, like, again, you're talking about the best starting lineup in the NBA last year. Messing with that just feels like tinkering with things for no reason. Like, don't tinker for no reason. You got good players, understood, but like, just roll those 5 back out there. And you know what? I think that lineup data that says that the double bigs down the stretch isn't that good, that bodes well for your guards who are going to be in the game later anyway. That, that means that, like, and I know that, last time we talked about, like, guys do care about starting. That's we're not gonna do the head coach thing where
No,
they're
right.
like, I don't really think about starting. Of course, guys think about starting, but ending does matter too. And I think that you'll see a lot of ending lineups that have Brogdon, that have Derek White, that will be quite dominant in their own right as well.
Yeah, I think that'll work out. And you know what? If you have to mix it up, you mix it up. The whole thing is, if it's working, if they're winning, then no one can say a thing. And that's always the formula. It's I feel like I'm gonna pull a Michael Scott in a sort of way here. When he says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, like he does that whole thing. I'm gonna quote Jeff Van Gundy quoting Chris Rock, because I didn't hear the Chris Rock thing, but I heard Jeff Van Gundy mention it twice now, where the quote is something like, "You're not always going to be the lead singer in the band. Sometimes you're going to be asked to play the tambourine, and when you're asked to play the tambourine, you got to play it with a smile on your face. You got to be happy playing the tambourine, because no one wants to watch an angry tambourine player." So that's kind of like this setting right here. At some point, like, Derek White's out there being one of the main guys in the band, and you kind of almost saying, "Okay, here's Rob's back. Here's your tambourine. Have fun with it." And he's still going to be asked to do a lot, but it's just a little bit of a different role, and it's still an important role, but it's going to be, somebody is going to have to adjust a little bit. But you mentioned it, and I think this is going to be a critical part of this. You can make up some of that difference by just taking 2-3 minutes off of what Tatum and Brown are playing. And if you stagger things the right way, no one's going to see much of a drop other than Tatum and Brown, and they could use a little bit of a drop.
Yeah.
And like you can very easily say, "Hey, congratulations guys. You're playing 34, 35 minutes instead of 38, 39." Like, that is somewhere where I think this could be very beneficial. And it's one of the things that I was looking forward to for Rob coming back. Move White to the bench, and then that frees up minutes for Tatum and Brown to just take an extra. And when we say like 2-3 minutes, 4 minutes, it's just each time you come out, you spend an extra 90 seconds on the bench. It's almost unnoticeable. But in the end, they're going to be fresher. And in the end of the season, at the end of the playoffs, think about what the things that we've been complaining about, the things that they went through, where they were too tired, they were gassed, and they needed another ball handler. And now we're giving them the other ball handler and time to kind of rest. Everybody should be on board with this. And their statistics should not suffer, because playing fresher gives you the opportunity to be more efficient.
Yep. Which, to that end, speaking of playing fresher, the other guy who especially, Derek White might be able to trim some minutes off of is Al Horford. Like you mentioned that, like this guy's playing 30.5 minutes per game right now. Like if you trimmed that down 4, 5, 6 minutes a game during the regular season, I would say I would think that would be like a net positive. Like he is by far the oldest person on this team. Get him some time on the bench. So yeah, I think all around, just like having both those guys coming off the bench would be generally a positive. Yeah, I concur.
I'm gonna break your heart right now, though. You know who else's minutes he can also take?
It's not going to break my heart. It's just going to continue the Twitter chirping. Go ahead.
Sam Hauser.
Ah, gosh, Sammy.
Sammy H.
You know, you mentioned earlier how the on-off numbers are all over the place, and per cleaning the glass, Sam Hauser
on numbers are really
still number 2 after that start. Oh no, wait, nope, Tatum overtook him. I apologize. It is now Derek White number 1, Jayson Tatum number 2, Sam Hauser number 3.
Congratulations for Jayson Tatum for finally becoming a better player than Sam Hauser. Nice to see that progression really taking hold. He's really worked hard for that.
Well, Hauser kept saying that he was a better shooter than Tatum. I think Tatum, I don't know what Tatum did to him, but whatever it was, here we are. So
Sam Hauser is still, like, the last time Sam Hauser hit a 3 might have been around Christmas. He's still shooting 39.6% from 3. That's insane to me. He was so hot early. Derek White is up to about 37.8. So they're kind of like crossing paths again, because Derek White has gotten super hot.
Ships passing in the night. It has been since he had a 3-pointer on January 9 against the Bulls. And since then, he is over. But in fairness, he misses one shot and then the Celtics pull him out. So it actually is going to take him a while to bring those averages from the start of the season down, because he hit so many at the start of the season, and now he's only allowed to shoot like 1 or 2 shots a game. So the Celtics could really draw out this on-off differential for quite some time.
I was trying to find while you were talking this. Okay. Derek White, I gotta share this before we go. Derek White is shooting from the left corner. Let me pull this up. Come on, internet. Over the last 7 games, so Derek White from the left corner over the course of the season is shooting 41.2%. But over the last 7 games, he is shooting from the left corner, as I say words to stall for my internet. So NBA.com has been doing this thing for me where I hit get stats for something new, and it takes forever. Then it says no data available, and it's about to do it to me now. Okay, here it is. From the left corner, 55.6% over the last 7 games from the corner 3. He's just been on fire.
I feel like that tracks. I feel like that tracks with the eye test. It feels like he's been really hot from that corner.
Yeah. Sam Hauser is 100% from the corner, by the way. 1 for 1.
1 for 1.
1 for 1. Anyway, that's a long, drawn out way of me saying, like, I think I'd rather have the full on defense of Derek White in that role. With Rob coming back, I think you can rely a little bit less on Hauser, which is a shame, because I do like Sam Hauser. I do think that he has the skills. I do actually believe in him. Something's happened and he's kind of cratered, and he needs to get his confidence back. And maybe, I don't know if it's a trip to the G League, just go down there and shoot, or if that's better or worse. I don't know. But with Rob back, and if you put Derek White kind of in that expanded, here's your normal role plus that role, it just makes too much sense. It makes too much sense.
Yep. Agreed. And I think if Hauser starts making them, they're going to find a way to get him back in, because those threes are super valuable. So all that man has to do is make some. If he
just
makes
make
some,
make some damn threes.
Give me one 3 for 4 game. And I swear he's back in the rotation. Just one.
There was, but against in that last game, there was a kick out. I think Brogdon drove and they collapsed and he kicked out to the right corner. I'm like, oh yes. It was in the whole possession was a nice possession. And it went to, and as Hauser was catching it, I'm thinking, oh, great. Finally, just a straight catch and shoot, open corner 3-point opportunity. And he missed. And I'm like, it's not like you should expect him to hit all of those, but also you got to hit those when they get there.
You got to.
If you don't, that's your job. That shot that has to be one wide open in the corner. You gotta hit that one. Anyway,
I feel for him, man. It sucks when you're going through a cold streak. I feel for him.
I know.
It sucks
really,
so much.
It messes with your head. It messes with your head. If you're not careful, it can really Ben Simmons you, because now that dude never wants to shoot anything and he never wants to get to the line. And when he was at his best, he wasn't thinking like that. He didn't care. He just went with reckless abandon, and he was an all-star. Now, he's a joke. Ben Simmons is a joke, but he still has flashes where it's like, oh, yeah, you can see it if he ever gets back to that. But once it gets in your head, if you're not careful, it stays there. It sets up shop, and it lives there forever. And it's tough. It's tough to get out of, especially in this role on this team.
Yeah.
Because it can be fleeting.
Yep.
And now Rob's back, and here we are talking about Derek White taking his minutes. Everybody would rather have Derek White in that role, even for a few percentage drop of the 3-point shooting. Like, he just does so much. He's by far, he's got twice as many block shots as any other guard in the NBA. Like, he's an amazing defender. So, but this is it. You needed to hit all of those shots to make this a difficult decision, and now it's an easy decision.
Yep.
That's the cruel world of the NBA. I'm making a decision now. Tom, you're done. You're through.
All right. Yep. I'll try to shoot 3 for 4 next time.
Yeah, it was a. I'm gonna be honest with you. It wasn't you didn't have it today.
You keep saying you're gonna trade me. So you know what? That's it. I'm demanding a trade before you boot me off here.
Okay. I'm gonna give a call to. Never mind. Thanks, Tom.
Appreciate you.
Tom's job is actually safe for now. Dun, dun, dun. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you haven't, we'll try it again. We do this 5 days a week at least. So one of these days we're going to get it right. So stick around. If you did enjoy the show, maybe you want to subscribe, because once I drop this show, it goes right to your device. Or if you ring the bell on YouTube, you can watch it as soon as we drop it. So check it out there. Love to have you. If you are a subscriber, I would love it if you share the podcast, spread the word, tell people they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.